Three men and a multiverse of sci-fi's finest spacecraft, but which ones can claim to be the greatest ships ever? Welcome to Space Doc Jury.
Hello and welcome to Space Doc Jury, full episode 31. I'm Lee and I'm bringing the C-57D from Forbidden Planet.
I'm Peter and I'm bringing the battleship Yamato. It rhymes with tomato.
With great excitement, I am Andy and I am bringing the Normandy too.
So there you go. The Normandy 2, brought by an Elcor. Blasto will be next.
He would so get fired for crew competence.
Yeah. As this joke sails clean over Pete's head. Right. So anyway,
Nothing
yes,
would go over his head. He would catch it.
So, yes, this week we have quite a diverse range of ships this week. We have, the C-57D, we have the battleship Tomato, and the Normandy SR2. So, before we get to those, though, let's see how our scoring is, because I think we had a little bit of a tweak around, but I can't be sure. So, let's just do the top 10 and be doubly sure. At number 10, we have the Dalek Mothership with 63 points. At number 9, the USNC Spirit of Fire with 64. At number 8, we have the Battlestar Pegasus, also with 64 points. And above it, in number 7th place, we have the Imperial Star Destroyer with 65. At number 6, we have the Battlestar Galactica from the Ronald D. Moore series with also 65 points. At number 5, we have Jub Jub the Jesus Ship, yes, the Andromeda Ascendant, with 66 points. 4th place is looking pretty much as per normal with the Superstar Destroyer Executor, not Executor, all with 68.
I'll just side by there. Just record scratch here. So apparently when we discussed the name of the ship, Elton was listening on his way to work, sort of thing, and was so shocked and appalled that we think it's Executor and not Executor. He had to downshift.
Did he?
He did.
Did he have to double dip?
He did.
Well, there you go. So, let's listen for the crash as I say SSD Executor with 68 points. At number 3, we have the It's Square on All Sides Borg Cube with 69 points. And then at number 2, the Cathedral Dildo Snowplow of Doom, the Vengeful Spirits, it's there with 69 points. And still sitting pretty exactly the same way bricks don't. We have the Death Star DS1 world-ending platform from Star Wars with 73 points.
Coming to a DVD or Blu-ray to you soon.
Yes, with Rogue One coming out very soon.
Yes.
And probably be seen in Star Wars Episode 8, because we can't have a Star Wars film without a Death Star type thing.
It's always the first and third films they have it in.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so they're building a new Starkiller base by Episode 8. Right, fine.
Yeah, the next one's just going to be a star, just a massive star.
Yeah. On some wheels,
a literal Death Star.
Yeah,
yes.
they just
a star of death.
They just knock it like a Newton's cradle into every other planet, like a cue ball. But anyway, so that's how everything stands now. Last full episode rather. We had
previously on
Space Dog Jury, we had our 100th ship, which was the Millennium Falcon. Unfortunately, it lost out to the TARDIS and to the USS Enterprise E.
And
so that
much crying,
wailing of teeth, gnashing of stuff.
At least we're assuming there was, because at the point of recording, we don't actually know yet.
No, and of course, we logged off of Andy out of Skype before he started screaming really rude swear words at us. So but unfortunately, that does mean that Andy does go first with his ship, the Normandy 2. Over to you, sir.
Yes, the Normandy 2. Because the last time we brought a Normandy to Space Dock, that went really well. Let's see how it goes this time, shall we?
Just not saying a word.
Take 2.
Yes, take 2. Right. The Normandy SR2 is a starship that appeared in 2158 and serves as the successor to the SR1. It was built by the Elusive Man and Cerberus for the newly revived Commander Shepard and his team to aid them on their mission to stop the Collectors and their galaxy-wide campaign to abduct humans and turn them into giant smoothies before feeding them to a Terminator. Oh, spoiler alert for Mass Effects 2 and 3. The ship served as the headquarters to Lazarus Cell. It's very similar to the Systems Alliance's SSV Normandy 1, having been based on the designs on the original. However, it received several key upgrades. It was obviously funded by the private sector, so it didn't have to keep to government budgets and all that sort of shit. So, yay!
Real leather seats.
Real again, you say what you will, but the private sector, they know how to outfit a starship. Yeah. The captain's cabin came with a massive goldfish tank. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Cerberus also designed the ship with more crew-oriented comforts, including civilian-grade accommodations, leather chairs, and a kitchen. The ship still retains the SR1 stealth characteristics. However, unlike the SR1, the SR2 cannot land on every planet it turns up due to her increased mass, requiring shore parties to use a shuttle to get to the planet's surface. It features 4 decks, deck 1 being the captain's cabin, featuring the aforementioned very lovely goldfish tank with auto-feeding fish feeder in my one, and the miniature giant space hamster, and a very lovely double bed for when you have the ladies over.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
There's a lot of bow chicka bower. To quote Commander Shepard, we should bang. Deck 2 features a combat information center in featuring a new and improved galaxy map. You also have a much larger bridge area. Joker now has nice panoramic windows to look out of it. You've got an armory, a research lab, and later on you get a war room with another big map, because maps are important on spaceships.
They are.
Deck 3 features the crew quarters, where you can often find Garrus Vicarian doing his calibrations. Strangely enough, never really has time to talk because these are very intense calibrations, but still. You also find various other members of the crew, the medical deck, a women's washroom and a men's washroom. Depending on your Shepard, if you go into the wrong one, the onboard computer Eddie will... Eddie? There you go. Will helpfully inform you that you've gone into the wrong restroom, so that's good to know. Deck 4 features engineering with the giant Tantalus core and the shuttle bay. Deck 5 was the hangar. You had a gantry. It's Deck 4, Deck 5.
You had Deck 4, which was the where you had all the engineering, and then Deck 5 was basically with the shuttle and the Mako and all that kind of stuff.
That's true, but they are overlooked from the thing. Yes, I remember now. There you go. As we've already mentioned, Edie was the onboard AI for the Normandy SR2. AIs are generally frowned upon in the Mass Effect universe. Something about an entire race being evicted from their home planet once an AI achieved sentience. Read about it somewhere, what have you. But Cerberus being the upstanding moral paragons, as you have.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, I've just been distracted by Lego Normandy. But yes, Cerberus being the moral paragons that they are, obviously obeyed these letters to the law, completely disregarded them, and installed Edie. Features Reaper tech, or anti-Reaper algorithms and so forth, so she's very, very advanced. And in Mass Effect 3, gets a sexy new body, which is just creepy if you ask me. It is creepy, isn't it?
No.
Can we just... You don't think it's creepy?
No.
It's the hair. The hair is just... It's weird.
No, but that hair could be anything it wanted. She actually explains that hair is just nanotech fibres, and if she wanted it all to be flowy, she would, but she put it in an optimal position.
It just looks like a hood ornament to me.
That's exactly it.
Okay, fine. Anyway, the Normandy systems, as we already said, based on the original specs, but there's multiple upgrades you can get throughout the game, including javelin disruptor torpedoes, Phalanx cannons, kinetic barriers, heavy armor, Guardian lasers, anti-proton thrusters, fusion plant. There's a long list of upgrades you can get throughout. It involves a lot of mining and probing. That is as dirty as it sounds.
No.
Yeah. It is Mass Effect, of course. Of course, there's probing.
Yes. In 2168, Shepard returned the Cerberus's SR2 to the Alliance, deciding that since it was based on their plans, the Alliance should have it anyway. After the highly successful suicide mission, it then became his flagship after it escaped from the Reapers from the Battle of Earth. And then went around the galaxy building support for a coalition to go and destroy the Reapers and to not choose from one of 3 predetermined options to get to the end. I could go on, but I shan't. Should we get on with rating this thing? Cause,
Yes.
And Peter, I can hear the eyes glazing over from here.
I can't see.
Go on in. Go for it.
Okay, size. I had a couple of things when I was looking up on this, but near as I can tell, it's between 170 and 190 metres, depending on who you ask.
In either case, it really doesn't matter because it's just basically just shy of 2.
Mm-hmm. It's just shy of 2 points.
2 points.
Yeah. 2 points.
Normandy 2?
Yes.
2. Yes, Normandy 2, speed 2. Sorry, size 2. As far as speed goes, she's pretty nifty. She's a frigate-class vessel. We see her whipping in and out and around of Reaper ships and so forth. We peg the Normandy 1 at a 4. I think this is about the same, to be honest.
Yep. No arguments there. 4.
FTL, again, we're talking Mass Effect, which is effectively jump gate technology, so that would be a 3. And again, maneuverability, she's fast, she's whips around. I think it's about the same as the Normandy 1, so a 4 again.
Yep, not a problem there.
Okay. Now, firepower, again, she's quite a bit beefed up from what you get on the Normandy 1, especially by the time you get to Mass Effect 3. We've got the Phalanx cannons. Is that pronouncing that right?
Phalanx.
Yeah. Phalanx cannons, the magnetic hydrodynamic weapons, Turian designs, versions of the gun used by Sovereign. And these made pretty short work of that collector cruiser in just 2 shots.
Yes.
She can go toe-to-toe with pretty much anything up to Dreadnought size, I would have said.
Yep.
So I'm thinking firepower's probably it's a 9 or a 10, I'd say.
I would go for 9 because it's not like a one-shot capital ship killer. Because even when she lets loose on the collector ship in the second one, she takes like 3 or 4 shots to actually bring it down.
It's 2 shots to do it in.
Crickety, crackety, crickle, crickle, crackle.
Crickety, crackety.
Yes.
It's 2 shots in Mass Effect 2, so like it's one-shotting it. But that being said, the collector ship is significantly bigger. But I'm happy to take.
Yeah, it is fucking enormous. I mean, it's not a shadow ship though, is it? I mean, it's not that sort of level of power.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Pete.
That wasn't me, by the way.
Wasn't it? Because it sounded like you finally just decided enough's enough for this conversation.
Escaping was like, I'm out of here. I'm going through the nose.
Yeah, steam escaping. His soul's left his body. He's had enough. Yeah. I mean, 9 I would be happier with.
I'm happy with 9.
Cool.
I'm not feeling particularly fighty tonight, so we'll take the 9. As far as defence goes, well, let's see. Active-wise, we've got the speed, so that's 1 there.
Mm-hmm. You mean the manoeuvrability, sorry.
Manoeuvrability, sorry, yes, manoeuvrability, we've got 1 there. We've got the Guardian lasers for anti-missile and anti-fighter defence, so that would be a 1.
That's 2.
We've got Edie, obviously. And
that's electronic countermeasures. Does that count as active or special? Just bookkeeping, really, because you get the point. But
I think that's active electronic countermeasures. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's
so that's 1 there. I can't think of anything else on the active front.
I think that's it.
Yeah. As far as passive goes,
that's just that's 3. Yeah.
Yes, 3.
That's 3. Yeah. If anything else can.
Man successfully counts up to 3.
Yes.
Get in.
At this point on the cast, after this many episodes,
Yeah.
let's not downplay the achievement we just had.
Yeah, let's not ignore the fact that maths has been successfully achieved in at least 4 steps here.
Yes. As far
Counting
as
to
passive
3.
defense goes, she's quite a bit beefed up from the Normandy 1. Her kinetic barriers are upgraded quite a bit, using multi-core shielding technology. She's also given ablative it's a Sari-derived heavy ablative armor even, to allow her... I mean, she actually takes a hit from the Collector's ship, doesn't she, during the suicide mission?
Yes.
So I'm thinking we're probably talking a 4 for passive.
Yeah, she takes a shot which actually wipes out the Normandy 1.
Yeah.
And it just takes a licking and keeps on ticking. She also in the was it Mass Effect 3? She's in the middle of the battle of for Earth.
Oh yeah, she's right in the thick of it throughout the entire battle as well. Until Joker does his run away.
The Mass Effect relays are exploding. I would say, I'd say a 4 is pretty much on the money there. I mean, like I say, if you hadn't seen her take a hit, I think you'd probably be sort of down in the 3s. But yeah, that sounds cool. 4.
But no, we definitely see her take the hit there. As far as special goes, we do actually have a Marine contingent on board in Mass Effect 3.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't say a contingent, but a Marines on board. Plus, a rather pissed off Krogan for a lot of it. So I think that on its own counts as a Marine contingent.
Oh, I think that's stretching it. If I'm honest, that's a bit like saying let's give extra points to the Enterprise D because it's got a rather angry wolf on board.
Oh, he gets prawned every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, well, fine.
I mean, as much as I admire your cheek in this particular regard, I
just trying my luck, throwing things on the wall and seeing what sticks. I can't think of anything else on the special then. We've already done Edie as...
I was going to say, she's electronic countermeasures effectively.
Electronic countermeasures in that respect. I mean, again, her... Oh, I'll tell you what, might be cheeky, so I mean, feel free to mock and shout it down, but when Liara's on board as Shadow Broker in 3, can I get anything for that?
No, that's just. I'll tell you what, I will throw you 1 point, though.
Oh, will you?
Because there was one thing that we missed. The stealth systems.
Oh, yeah, she's got fucking stealth systems. Completely forgot about that, didn't we?
Because that was the thing that's one for special. But that's the one that we laughed at last time we did the Normandy, because we had to explain to Pete that if she didn't come out of cloak at some point, she'd cook the entire ship.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yes, cooking the crew is a bad thing.
Typically that's not a... It's not going to endure you with crew relations if you cook them.
No.
Liar, pants on fire.
Indeed. I'm pretending to not be here, and now I've cooked the entire crew.
Yes.
Right, go on in. So, crew size.
Crew size. I had a bit of trouble finding numbers on this. I mean, I found some guesstimates. I know people have gone around and counted the number of people on board there. I think... he says, desperately trying to find the page where he was looking at, which had the thing on it. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second, because I've closed that tab.
There's leading up to the cockpit, just doing it from my head.
Yeah.
There's 4 people on either side of that cockpit runway, so that's 8. Then you've got Shepard, 9. Then you've got the actual normal team, which is sort of like another 6. So that's... was it 9 plus 6? So that's 15. You got Joker and Edie, so that's 16, 17. You got 5 around the table with the map.
But I think it's going to be 3. I think it's between 24 and 30. I think we're in that sort of region. I mean, I'm not going to start counting people on the grunt, because he's not really.
No, but I mean, I'm talking.
I mean, the Normandy 1 had 3. I think Normandy 2 is at least the same as that. I think that's 24.
I'm just thinking just counting off the top of my head. I mean, there are about half a dozen people downstairs in the mess, and then you've got Garrus, and then you've got Trainer or Kelly Chambers, depending which episode you're looking at.
Either way,
yeah. So
either way,
you're in you're in the 20s by now already.
Yeah.
So
I think it's free. It's not going to be more than that.
No, you're not. It's definitely not 100, but 26.
So I think we're free again there.
Okay, cool. So man sits there looking through thing in his own head, closing his eyes and
it's even better when man looks it up on internet. Isn't it?
Exactly. Man closes his eyes and pretends to run around imaginary ship. Okay, competence. This video game, isn't it? So that's 4.
It is 4. I mean, even if it wasn't for that, I don't think anyone can argue that this isn't like one of the most competent crews ever. You know, even if you're the most incompetent person ever, your crew's fucking awesome.
Yeah, your crew. Oh, unless of course you leave them to the AI bit for shooting, but you know.
Yes, but outside of that, like again, look how diligent Garrus is. I mean, those cannons are calibrated to within an inch of their life.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they are as straight as a die, those fucking barrels, I tell you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go. Thorny option number 1.
Exterior realization. I mean, I am going to ask for 4 because I think this is fantastically well realized. I like the design. It's a iteration and an improvement on the SR1. And sizing issues have been addressed by not landing on planets.
Keeping the interior inside.
That's a bonus, isn't it?
Yes. But I'm asking for a 4, please.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 4. But Pete, come on, get it out of the way.
We gave the number 1 a 4
after a lot of arguments.
After a lot, but for consistency's sake, then I have to say 4 again.
But what were you going to say? Because
I would have personally said 3, but yeah.
Okay, 4 it is. Sorry, feeling devilish.
Sir? Really?
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Okay, so interior.
To save the argument, I'm just going to ask for a 4.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it looks a lot nicer this time round, and the lifts are a lot quicker. You'll be pleased to know, Pete.
So much quicker.
So much quicker.
So much quicker.
Yeah, and the interior fits inside, so that's all good. So there you go. Science, way with the fairies.
It's not a way with the fairies.
Well, the idea of a massless ship.
Oh, the whole element 0 and the mass thing is a way with the fairies, but it's up there with dilithium crystals and with all the other sort of science fiction-y, we have to go faster. I mean, at least with the mass, the element zeros and stuff like that, it's a plausible explanation to get around the theory of relativity. I mean, it's bullshit as bullshit comes because, I mean, they may as well just call it element X instead of element 0.
Unobtainium.
Yeah, it's unobtainium. It's
Boswellox.
It's shut up. That's Yium. But still, it's consistent within its inconsistency. And again, you're using things like mass drivers. We understand about Newtonian physics and bits and pieces like that. I mean, we did give the last one a 4, so I'd ask for at least the same again.
Okay.
And let's face it, we give the Trek ships a 4, and that's exactly the same. It's it's their own science.
Okie dokie.
Yeah,
right.
And they're consistent within their own science, which I think is an important thing.
Okay, so Andy and I are gonna give this a grand total of 7 under the cool score. So what are you gonna give it, Pete?
I'll be generous and give it 1. It's an improvement on the last one.
So we're up to a cool score of 8. There you go. Well, your generosity knows no bounds.
Yeah, see, don't ever say I don't give you anything.
Because you don't
give us anything.
So really, quite bizarrely,
it's got 1 less than Normandy.
It's got 1 less than Normandy 1.
How did that happen? Yes.
How did that happen?
Rewind.
Hold on, let's have a look. Normandy 1. You know why? Because Normandy 1 got a size of 4.
Well, that's wrong.
Yep. Quite clearly wrong.
Well, you may as well fix that. That's
That's where it's... And the fire... Because its firepower is less. That's fine.
The size, it should be... Is it 1 or is it... What's the Normandy 1 size?
Normandy 1?
I know it's smaller, but I think it's over 100, but it's... Where is it?
Is it over 150? That's the key.
That's my question, yeah.
Oh, God. Men rush to look up things on internet.
SR1 at 175, SR2 at 220. Wait, what?
There you
Oh,
go.
that's fan estimates.
Approximation under the Reddit. Measurement laying 72 cadence flat. Okay. SL.
Well, that's a good
Oh,
answer.
I want the cadence to become a standard of measurement on Space Duck from now on.
Yeah. So apparently they've in Reddit they've taken the models out and actually measured it, and Normandy SR1 is 130 meters. The SR2 is 160.
Okay, so Normandy SR1 should be... Is that a 2 or is it a 1?
Well, that'd be a
So,
1.
no, it's a 1, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. Drop it down to 1.
Drop it down to 1. Okay, we'll change that on the fly. So that's 1.
Yes.
That makes the Normandy SR1 55 points, and the Normandy SR2 is 57 points.
There you go. That's better.
That feels a bit more in keeping.
Yes.
There
That
you
makes
go.
slightly more sense.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Things that we've done.
Yes. Huzzah.
Huzzah! So there you go. That's the first one out the gate, and actually relatively painless, all the same. So there you go. Well, congratulations, SR1, SR2, and commiserations to the SR1, which has just been demoted by dint of the fact that we've looked at the other one. Yeah, where does that put the SR2? The SR2 is up in the same as the Enterprise refit, the Valdor Romulan Warbird, and the UNSC Pillar of Autumn.
No, it's not bad. It's nice. Whoever keeps renaming ships on the bloody thing, can they stop it, all right?
Who's
USS JJ Shito Prize. I think I can guess who it was.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not going to take much in the way of thought, is it? Come on, Holmes, see if we can get the clues together.
Yes, let's see if we can figure that out, yes. you have your own spreadsheet so you can put your own funny names on it, right?
Funny name. Funny name.
Shito Prize, you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen,
That's exactly what it says on the tin.
it's always fun looking at a shared spreadsheet as you see the ever so fiendish little red box go floating around the place and start renaming shit. Wonder where that came from. So anyway, there you go. Anyway, so that was the Normandy SR1, and now we move on to our next ship, which is based on last week's scores, where remarkably Pete came second with the TARDIS.
Yeah, purely because infinity apparently is a number now.
Oh, for God's sakes, get over it. It's a bloody long way. The other thing is, it's also worth noting that he did pick a ship that crashed into the Earth a couple of times.
He picked a ship which destroyed the universe.
Well, there is that as well, yeah.
And isn't very easy to control, so yeah. It's
So-
off the course.
Yeah, so starting with a ship that's now crashed into the Earth, let's do one which is already smashed into the Earth to start with.
Yes.
Space Battleship Yamato.
Right. Yes, the USS Yamato, captained by Donald Varley, a Galaxy-class ship, sister of the Enterprise, destroyed following contact with the Iconian computer system. Do you want to carry on me doing this for you?
No, yes, stick with it, own it, man.
I was going to say, yeah, just
Yeah, no, go on. Yeah,
Just-
let's see how well this one does for crew competence.
yeah, fly that.
Oh, yeah. So it'll be up there with Enterprise D, except with crew competence suddenly in negative numbers.
Yeah, I was going to say,
They completely forgot their firewall. Yeah.
I was going to say somehow you were going to fly that one joke all the way to the end of this episode. I think if you could have got away with it.
Well, let's face it. It's the joke every time we have a ship named after something in Star Trek.
Yep, or at least the same name. Space Battleship Yamato. No, this is something completely different. I'm going from the 2010 film, based on an anime which I'm not at all familiar with, so I'll be focusing on the ship from the movie. Sorry, fans of the anime. No idea how it rates in comparison, but there we go. But I got this movie, so I can talk about it. Woohoo! The Earth of 2199 is under attack by the mysterious Gamilias, or something like that. They were quite caught how they pronounced that. With most of the United Nations Space Administration fleet destroyed, the planet irradiated, an invasion impending, a remaining ship is sent out to get help from a distant planet using a hyperdrive, which they've sort of been gifted with, basically. But the problem is things are so bad that for some reason they've resorted to pulling up the old World War II Japanese battleship sunk by the United States Navy in 1945 and sticking that up in space for reasons.
Yeah, your science score is going to do great.
Yeah, with absolutely no explanation about how this thing's holding up in space. But there we go. As well as your usual laser turrets of various sizes, she's equipped with an experimental wave gun, again based on tech that they've been kind of gifted. And it takes up most of the ship's prow and deals out mundo damage. Oh, yeah. Following her captain, who's Akita, succumbing to illness, she's eventually captained by Susumi Kodai, the somewhat cliched hero of the piece, it has to be said. About the only original thing about this film is the fact that it's bizarrely a World War II battleship in space. The rest of it is very much by the numbers, it has to be said. And yes, and then adventures and battles happen and stuff, and they save the day, because yay! Will that do you?
Yeah, go for it.
That was by 2 hours 40 minutes of a film summed up in a few seconds. Then.
Adventures, battles, and yay.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's happened?
Shit happens. The movie. Right, okay, go on in. So go on in, let's rate this bugger.
Okay, well, I'm basing this in terms of size, because I couldn't find anything, on the original Yamato Navy ship, which was 262 metres in length, and it's obviously at least that. So that's a 3.
Fair enough.
Bit bizarre that I could use a World War II ship to get a score from, but there you go.
Why not?
Nobody knows why this is. I mean, beyond the fact that presumably it's the only bit of metal left or something, it's all very odd.
Well, in the anime, for reasons I can't quite remember exactly, but all of the world's oceans have dried up because, of course, they have.
Yeah.
And the evil aliens are kind of watching the Earth, trying to, the fleets are kind of all but destroyed, and they have like one last chance to put all of their eggs in one last basket, as it were.
One stupid basket.
One basket of all. They get all the stupid they can. So what they effectively do is they build a research facility underneath the wreck of the Yamato, and it's technically not the Yamato itself. They build the new ship inside the old one. So the opening episode of the anime is when it takes off, the old Yamato kind of crumbles away, kind of like a chrysalis, to reveal the spaceship, which is just like, that makes even less sense than if you refitted the actual ship.
Yeah. And that's definitely not what happens in the movie. In the movie, the entire thing takes off. There's no sort of ship emerging from a ship. It's just...
No.
Yeah, it's yes. Questions were asked, mistakes were made.
People were blamed, and we all went
bizarre
home.
decisions were made. Yeah.
Yes.
It's anime. Okay. You just shrug your shoulders and go, meh.
Okay.
And then shout, Tetsuo! Canada!
No, nobody was being probed by tentacles, so at least we had that. So,
no, that comes later.
Okay, speed, sublights. I think it's a 1. It's Captain McSlowbutt most of the time. What do you expect from a bloody World War II ship floating through space?
Yep.
But it does have an FTL, which is a major plot point. Warps from Earth to Jupiter in seconds, but then needs a 20-minute recharge, and then manages another couple of jumps to get to Iskander in the I think they said that was in the Crab Nebula, 148,000 light years.
Fuck hell.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I think we're talking Galactica style point.
Wait. Give me those numbers again.
148,000 light years in 3 jumps.
In 3 jumps, that's
with 20-minute gaps.
You're. I'd probably say you're closer to Trek ones than thing, because what's warp 9.9? What's the Enterprise D speed at? I can never remember the bloody number. Warp 9.99, because that's.
But again, rather like the Galactica, that part of it is about knowing where they're jumping to.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah,
it's an instantaneous jump. They don't wait.
Oh, okay.
Whilst they're going.
Oh, okay. If it's instantaneous, then that's different. Yeah.
We're going with 4, I think, aren't we? For the
I was going to say it is very, very Galactica. It literally just pops in, pops out, recharges its engines, and then pops in, pops out somewhere else, wherever it likes.
And if a limiting factor is just the navigation from the knowledge, then that's fine.
Yeah. literally. It just, and the 20 minutes it takes to recharge the engines.
Blowing on their little fuse.
Yeah, exactly. Hanging out the window.
The amount of shit I got for 33 minutes for the Galactica's engines.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah, but those were much more innocent times when we didn't think we'd ever face anything like that again.
It's true.
We were sweet summer children back then.
Yes. Dark times for the Empire.
Maneuverability-wise, you wouldn't expect an old World War II ship to be maneuverable, but she's capable of crazy evasive rolls to avoid incoming fighters, bizarrely. So I'm pegging this about a 3.
Sorry, I just, yeah, it's very Starfleet in its ability to take something that is colossal in size and then suddenly go, it's going left.
Back to left! And literally 90
right.
degrees in seconds is
Yeah. Yet somehow the interior doesn't turn everyone to jam.
Yells.
Well, they must have those inertia dampeners that we've heard so much about.
They do have seatbelts. Well, hey, there's an improvement on Trek.
Oh my God. Actual seatbelt. What is the world coming? Next, you'll be telling me they've got joysticks on the Enterprise.
Okay, well, I mean, you can have the 3, unless Andy feels differently, but I have
it's if when you say it's rolling, are you saying it's rolling along its main axis, like it's just tilting left and right and the missiles are flying by, or are you talking it
literally goes on its side.
It barrel rolls.
Yeah, you see, that's barrel rolls and stuff like that. I would personally peg more at a 2 than, because the Trek capital ships, which are at 3, like the Galaxy Novice, you see them pulling up and down, they're yawing upwards and downwards. There's a lot more scope for manoeuvring. Yeah. Whereas if it's just rolling along its long axis, there's not a lot of mass being moved there effectively, sort of thing. So
but
I'm not. Look, if you want the 3, if Lee's happy with the 3, it's fine. But for me, it sounds more like a 2.
I would be happy with a 3 because it's not even like the Trek kind of graceful arc type things. It's a proper. Someone's just stuck a corner of the cob on the end of a drill and just hit go. It literally does that kind of shit. It literally goes whee, and it's off on one.
Okay. Again, I will defer to the honourable gentleman.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do take your point entirely that if it's spinning just on its axis, then it's really not doing much. But this is a different level of crazy. It is like those videos you see the Japanese people trying to eat corn on the cob by sticking a corn on the cob on a Black and Decker, drill.
I seem to recall most of those videos involve a lot of bold patches suddenly appearing.
Yeah, and teeth flying off, and it's that kind of thing. So yeah, I'll give it a 3. Anyway, Pete, coming in.
Pew factors.
Give us your waves, your wave gun.
Wave cannon, yes, capable of disintegrating a massive meteorite and later a large enemy capital ship. And also, right at the end, a massive spaceborne missile complex thing as well. So ultimately, it's a one-shot kill weapon.
Yes.
So I think that's a number 10.
I would certainly say so. Yeah, it's not quite Shadow Ship level, but it isn't far off. So yeah, cool. 10.
Active defense. It has point defense. So that's 1.
That's 1.
And I think that's all they've got there.
Yep.
As for passive, there's no mention of shields. So
no, it's kind of heavy armor, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, basically. So 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then special, we've got armed support craft.
Yeah, they got little fighters and stuff.
Yeah, she's like an aircraft carrier for some reason.
Yeah. It's a cruiser. It's built on a cruiser, but somehow it's
battleship.
A battleship, but it's somehow an aircraft carrier as well. when need be.
Because shut up, that's why.
Indeed.
Oh, I'm watching a video. I've just seen it roll. Yeah.
It's silly.
It's a 3, but everyone's dead.
Yes,
that's what I said. It turns everyone to jam inside. It's just crazy nuts.
Yeah,
this may be reflected on the science score. Don't worry.
yeah, very much so.
And there's worse on that front as well, but we'll get to that.
Lord.
Crew. Okay, numbers. Despite the original naval ship having nearly 3,000 crew, the space version returns to Earth, admittedly having lost a few, but not too many, with 37.
37.
Yeah,
So
that's a 3.
To be fair, I think most of the original ones were involved in putting coal in the bunkers, so that's fine.
Yes, probably.
Well, actually, I think most of them were involved in the barrel roll.
That's why only 30 survived that maneuver.
Everybody else was scraped off the walls later on.
Everyone else was used as a crash mat. Yeah. Okay, right.
And then
3
competence.
for the size. Yep.
Some arguing that you've got this new green captain, Kodai. Thanks to his final act of predictable sacrifice, he gets the mission done, saves the Earth. What more could you ask for? Well, probably some originality, but...
And maybe a captain that survives.
I think maybe they'd have liked him to brought the spaceship back with them as well.
One piece.
So we're looking at a 4 there, at least, for saving the day.
Yeah, he saves the day. He does the job. He gets himself killed. Probably not a perfect score.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, here we go.
Realisation. It's CG. It's not the best. But it's certainly not the worst in this film. It has to be said. Oh, my.
Yeah.
The alien effects are appalling later on. You can, in terms of, sort of looking how it's put together, you can see where the bridges are. There are 3. Ooh.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. I was sort of thinking a 4 for this.
Which is kind of, yeah.
Well, what are you thinking, sir?
No. It's just. What were you asking for? A 4. A 4. Just look at the thing I sent you, and it's just considering that we've had images like this.
Yeah, it looks better than that in the film.
Not by much though. Come on.
A bit. It looks more real than that, anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me find another one. Oh yeah. That's this will appeal to Andy. I'll tell you this will. Hold on.
Yeah.
New image. Yeah. This'll have your Donegan nerve playing a happy harp tune. That one.
No, it's got this black Galactica flat cannons going on.
Yeah. It's going full pelt on that one. Yeah.
The whole thing feels very Galactica. Actually, I think it came out afterwards, didn't it? So
it was.
Somebody may have been watching it.
2009. So yeah, it would have been post Galactica.
And particularly the internals as well. They could have been using the sets of Galactica, to be honest.
Well, I think they were actually using a warship for some of it.
They certainly were for the crew, the hangar deck. Yeah, that was quite clearly an actual thing. That was quite impressive.
It'll definitely score high on the interior of it.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of
as much as I enjoy punishing Pete, I really can't argue against a 4, to be honest.
No, that's cool.
Just flicking through I mean, again, if he made the mistake of bringing the one from the anime, well, then we have something to work with. But
fair enough. Yeah.
Then we bring out the brick bat with a nail through it.
Oh yes.
But
what is it they call it in The Walking Dead?
Rosemary or Eloise or whatever. I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Me neither. But yeah, that bat. Yeah, we bring that one out.
Yeah. Interior.
Well, as I say, there are excellent sets. It all feels real, functional, and lived in.
Yeah.
You don't just get to see the main bridge, but the engine room with its wave motion engines in operation. There's the cool hangar bay that looks like it's shot in an actual aircraft carrier.
Yep.
Nice chunky levers on all the panels.
Yep.
The only thing that really lets it down, I would have given it a 5, but it's got the most ridiculous firing mechanism for its wave gun that looks like one of those console light wave gun accessories you used to get.
Oh, God, yes.
It comes up out the console and it's got a little trigger which he pulls, a little targeting thing. It looks poo. So I'm deducting it 1 for that, so 4, I think.
Oh, okay. What? I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't knock it for that. I mean, we let the Enterprise E through with a Kempston joystick.
Well, maybe we shouldn't have done. The rest of it was so wonderfully carpeted. That was fair enough.
It's all about the carpet.
So
what carpets did the Yamato have, just out of interest?
None, actually. Yeah, they were going for a rough.
Oh, so that's why he's knocking it down.
Yeah,
the truth comes out.
Yeah, the truth is out. We found out why.
Yeah, truth will out at all.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
either
way. I mean, again, they're very well constructed sets from what I can see, and the hangar bay is an actual. I don't actually think it's a military hangar. Looking at this, it looks like it's it's a car ferry, but.
Car ferry.
Yes,
look at the end. There's a punto part.
Yes, they did the same thing in Galactica. In the pilot episode. They used a car ferry for that as well.
Yeah.
But
if you look very carefully, you can see right up the back. There's a guy with like 40 Bensons in a customs bag. Yeah. Duty
So what are we
free.
going for that?
Well, 4, I guess, if that's what you want.
yeah, give him 4.
Right, fine, 4 it is. Science.
The refitted World War II warship is somehow spaceworthy.
Yes.
It is not explained at all on this ship, although, as I say, at least it has seatbelts. It's not quite space magic, but I think 2 at best.
Yeah.
I'd be more of a 1.
Well, the one we've tend to gone for stuff that really... Well, I suppose you could argue this is really stupid. I don't know. Again, it's the lack of explanation for how they've made this thing spaceworthy. It's the biggest...
Well, again, just flicking through this video I've been watching while we've been talking, and it seems to fly into a planet and then out the other side with something stuck on the front.
Oh, it has. Yes,
and not to mention the aforementioned barrel roll.
Which would have killed absolutely everyone inside.
I've got to say, I think a 1 on the science score.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, cool factor. Definitely loses 1 for being a bit silly. I don't know. I'm not a great fan of the film, but I tried to sort of judge the ship outside of that. But yeah, I think I'm going to go for 2.
2?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2. Andy?
I'll give it 2 as well. I quite like battleships. I believe that is a well-known fact. And for what it's worth, it's an interesting concept. I mean, there's other ships in the anime series which I much prefer, which are kind of like modern versions of space battleships, not built around...
Yeah, not actual space battleships.
Yeah. For that reason alone, I think I'll give it 2.
Okay. I'm going to give it 3. And the reason being is because I went through a bit of an anime phase when it was the cartoon ship, and it was always advertised in the back of Marvel magazines that my dad used to get me on, sort of like on a Friday afternoon. He'd come home from work and he'd have them, and I always remember sitting here drawing this thing. I never ever saw it in action, I'll be honest with you, until much later on, by which time I'd seen many, many more ships. But I always found that look really iconic and thinking, wow, that looks really different and interesting and swish. So, yeah, I'm going to give it my 3, purely from childhood nostalgia rather than what I would say now looking at this thing barrel rolling like a fucking whirligig.
I just sent a picture of one of the other ships from the anime series, which kind of shows the idea of space battleships which weren't necessarily old battleships. Which I kind of like, but still, that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah. No, never knowingly undersold on the aerial front by the looks of that one, isn't it?
It's up there with Omegas and Babylon 5 ships for aerials.
All the aerials, stick on all the aerials. Right, okay. Well, there you go. So that was Battleship Yamato, and that finishes with a grand score of 48. A fairly respectable score, 48 points.
Literally mid-table, this one.
Yes.
Remarkably, sticking it right next to the HMS Fearless.
Oh, well, there you go.
And just 1 point under the USS Voyager.
Yeah.
Moving on.
He tried.
Never mind. So, well done. Nice work. And
I thought that was going for a much higher score, to be honest.
So did I. I mean, especially with the weapons and everything. It was like, but there you go.
It's one of mine, so it tanks.
Oh, I thought you did all right, actually. For
me, that's a decent score, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was just its defence let it down more than anything. And its size.
And its silliness, let's face it.
Yeah, and it's crazy away with the fairies science. Right. Okay, well, and now it's time for me to move on to my ship. And this ship is the Forbidden Planet United Federation ship C-57D. The United Planets cruiser C-57D featured in the Forbidden Planet. And it is essentially a flying saucer. It didn't just feature in the Forbidden Planet, by the way. It featured in a number of episodes of the Twilight Zone, such as Third from the Sun, The Monsters Due on Maple Street, The Invaders, To Serve Man, Hocus Pocus and the Frisbee, Death Ship.
Hocus Pocus and the Frisbee. That figures, because it's definitely a Frisbee.
Yeah. On Thursday We Leave for Home and The Fear. The ship featured everything. Well, it seemed to influence an awful lot of other ships, and has been cited as the original inspiration for the exterior saucer section of the USS Enterprise from the original Star Trek series. The blueprints of the command deck showed to have a circular navigational centre, which was later influencing a certain TARDIS. And the gyroscopic domes and for the faster and light travel were seen to be referencing several other ships as well, which I can't be bothered to look up. The ship itself there was 3 or 4 miniatures. One was 22 inches, 44 inches, and then 82 inches in size. And that cost $20,000 to build, and a large construction made of wood, steel, and fiberglass. These miniatures were later sold off by MGM, and sold to a guy who actually bought it for $800. So, just feel bad about that. He later auctioned it off for $78,000. So, good luck to him.
Wow,
that's not a bad return. Eh?
That's not a bad return at all. The ship also was one of the more expensive sets for MGM at the time, having built the actual interior of the ship with different decks. The C-57D has 5 decks, and the ship was actually built almost 1-to-1 scale interior-wise.
And they actually sent it into space as well.
Well, that would have been about the only thing left to do. The actual ship itself, doing a bit of in-universe stuff, had FTL, fast and light. But to account for this, the crew would go into their stasis pods, their dematerialization pods, to make sure that any forces acting upon the ship when it went to hyperdrive wouldn't kill the crew or turning them into putty.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, yeah. And because it was obviously a dish, it didn't have to do massive barrel rolls. The ship span to give it gravity, so that was quite nice, even though not necessarily entirely scientifically accurate.
Well, it spins in completely the wrong way to provide gravity, but that's besides the point.
Yep. Let's not get science in the way of pretending to do science.
Put plastics on the side of the walls on a stairgram, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. If
the washing machine sort of thing, isn't it?
If the interiors were all pointing outwards, then you would have been all right. But sadly not. There's not an awful lot else about the ship in terms of any extra major deal. Apart from the fact that it has different pads that it deploys for different functions, such as deceleration and taking off and that kind of thing. And like I say, it was a full size set. That was about it, really. So,
real quickly, what was the captain's name?
Oh God, that's a very good question. And it was played by Leslie Nielsen.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. Don't call me Shirley.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to do. I'm good.
When he was an actor.
Yeah.
It was Commander John Adams.
Adams, that's it.
Commander you do when Adams. You first see it, and you don't know. You do expect him to be cracking funnies all over the place. It's very disappointing when he does.
Yeah, and then he turns out to be a murderer in Colombo. And he's just so confusing up until about the mid-70s, and then suddenly everything becomes clear again when it comes to Leslie Nielsen. The other thing, by the way, in the interior, they actually built 16 bunk beds with a pit and a crane inside to film it. They had the main communication centre all built, the curved tables and chairs, and space for books, and a gallery and recreation room. And a room with 9 deceleration platforms, which are also the cylinders which we did before when they go to hyperdrive. And also was seen as would be later referenced as transporters in Star Trek as well. And
this was 1950. Well, it was filmed in 55, released in 56. So this is this is near as makes no difference.
Nearly 10
12 years before 2001.
Yep. Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, and it still stands up fantastically well today.
Yes.
In fact, can I put in an official request at some point for the Black Dog docket?
It's already been done.
Has it?
Covered.
Damn it, I missed it.
Covered years ago. One of our first ever classic ships.
Oh, wow.
Classic ones.
Yes.
This and The Day the Earth Stood Still, we did as a double bill.
Oh well, yes, but still, I stand by it. It's a fantastic film, and the Great Machine on Babylon 5 was inspired from what's his name's thing on this, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mobius.
Yeah. Mobius is well the Krell. Is it the Krell? I think it's Krell.
Matte paintings have never looked so beautiful. It has to be said.
Yes, indeed.
Was it the same matte painting in Babylon 5? It was a digital.
It was a digital recreation of it. Yeah. But essentially, the view down into the ship, into the station was But anyway, so let's get to rating this bugger. I do not believe it will do particularly well, but we'll give it a spin.
I think you sell yourself short, sir.
Well, there you go. We'll see. The ship itself, the size of the ship, can only be basically determined by looking at the actual set itself and the scale of people to it, and a recreation of the large-scale miniature by the company Polar Lights, which had it as a 1:72 injection molded scale image model. And essentially, the ship is 51 meters in diameter.
Wow.
Which puts that...
Well, I had 53, but that's not going to make a slightest bit difference.
It puts it at...
I had 57.5, but you know.
Yeah, well, there you go. Split the difference, but it's still a 1. Anyway, sublight. Well, we have absolutely no idea. We see it land, we see it move between the outer orbit and the planet, and that's about the size of it. So it's a 1.
That's a 1, alas, yes.
FTL, again, we have no idea how fast this thing goes, but we do know it has FTL.
So it's a 1 again.
So it's a 1 again. Maneuverability, it really doesn't do an awful lot. It takes off, it lands, it kind of hovers a bit.
Wobbles a bit.
That's a 1.
Yeah, that's a 1.
Firepower, big fat 0 on that baby.
Alas, yes.
Yes. Defense, active, none whatsoever. None at all. None
that we see anyway.
Well, no, they even gets down to the point that when they are being attacked by the creature from the id, they have to actually set out poles around the ship, which set up a actual shield. So it doesn't even have a shield around itself that can even be deactivated. So yeah, and they leave the fucking door open. But let's not worry about that. So that's a 0 for active. That's 0 for active. Passive, it has basically standard ship plating. There's nothing really to determine it as something amazing. So unfortunately, I think that's a 2.
Or is it a 1?
Or even maybe a 1. Yeah, hold on. Let's have a look at the old...
What's low armour?
Low armour, yeah, 1. So
yeah, I guess it's 1 since we have no...
We have no frame of reference. We just know it's got some armour.
Yeah.
Special. Well, it has the crew, but that doesn't really count, does it? We'll get to that in a minute.
Afraid not, no. 0. And it doesn't even have old Robbie the Robot, because
he's not member of the crew.
He's not member of the crew, no.
No. So, crew size, we have about 10 people seen over the course of the film.
Well, you said there's 16 bunks, was it?
Yeah, there's 16 bunks, but...
Yeah, well,
but
either
again,
way, you're kind of talking a 2, aren't you?
We're talking a 2, yes, sadly. And their competence. Well, let's go through it. I mean, Adams himself doesn't see anything... Well, he's clever enough to figure out within about 30 seconds that there's something not quite right in Kansas, Dorothy, as soon as he lands. And he puts his men out on guard, but that doesn't stop him from doing a number of schoolboy errors, like basically leaving the door open.
To be fair,
not shooting when
the door is open again.
Yeah, exactly. And also not noticing things like, oh, we're being attacked by an invisible monster, but let's ignore the fact that the stairs are actually buckling under the weight of whatever it is. And we're also not noticing the humongous, great big footprints that are appearing all around us. So, and let's not forget that Cook is basically an idiot. He's basically Yeah. He was let on there because he was clearly some admiral's nephew. That's all I'm saying. So for Adams alone, I think, because that's all we can really rely on, I would say probably a 3.
Well, I mean, you've painted them in a certainly much more favourable light than I would have done. I'd have been more 4 myself, because, as you rightly point out, the stuff happens, it goes wrong, but it was their first time encountering anything like this, and they had the wherewithal to put up the defence shields once they realised something was going funky. I mean, I like if you want the 3, I'm not going to argue, but I'd have given you a 4 if you'd asked for it.
Okay, what about you, Pete?
Well, the way you just sold it, I would have definitely gone for a 2, to be honest.
Okay, well, in which case we'll split the difference and give it 3. I mean, like I say, I think Adams and his first officer are pretty much on the ball from the start. I just think it's the sort of typical 50s gee golly gosh winkies kind of characters that act as the remainder of the crew that just let down the side because, like I say, when they're seeing footprints walk around them and they go, gee, what could that be? And then suddenly, like, one of the steps on the actual ship goes, and bends with like about what clearly something weighing about 1,000 tons has just stepped on this thing. And they're like, that's a bit odd. And then suddenly go looking at it and then, unsurprisingly get eaten. It's just like, yeah, that's a bit... Just a bit on. That's red shirt incompetence.
Well, a little bit, I'm just annoyed we didn't see the moment when he addressed the rest of the crew and assured them, all of them, they're both absolutely fine.
Nothing to see.
They're at their station. There's no problem. They're both free to pursue a life of religious fulfillment.
Ah, dear. Anyway, right, moving on to realization exterior. Well, this is going to be a tough one. I mean, in terms of 50 special effects, it's flawless. Model work. There's no, when we're talking about B-movie Flash Gordon stuff where you can see like actual physical strings.
Yeah.
And this thing actually you couldn't.
It's got a firework up its ass, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's 'cause someone stuck a sparkler up a fucking rocket bottle and spray painted it silver. I mean, this was a living, breathing, moving ship. So
it's wobbling.
Yeah.
What are you asking for?
Oh, I was going to ask for a 4.
Well, have 5, mate. Seriously.
Whoa! Slow down the train.
No, I'm not.
It is not standing up to a 5. It's a 4 is pushing it as well.
No, it's absolutely. It's a gorgeous looking. Again, they practically built this
hubcap. Let's face it, it's a gorgeous looking hubcap.
No, look, people give flying.
It's got no detail on it at all. How can you say that's a 5?
Because it's fucking awesome. It's
not
class.
at all.
And at this point,
this is where the Normandy argument is.
Yes, it got delayed.
Yeah, I was going to say, at this point, I'll just leave you two to carry on, and I'll go make myself a cup of tea, and I'll come right back.
Well, you know where I stand on it. I think this is deserving of a 5. I think this is an iconic, classic ship. I think the design is great. I think the execution is great. I love the counter-rotating section as it comes down. I think this is awesome. Again, just from an effects standpoint, from the 1950s, again, 12 years before 2001, still stands up today in my opinion.
And 12 years before original series Trek.
Yeah. Well, no, original series Trek it's 10 years before that because it's 66, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
But still, absolutely. Yeah. And I know it's a film budget over a TV series budget, but
technology.
I'm going to say it. Effects stand up better than this.
I mean, like I say, I know, I can see exactly where Pete's coming from on this one because this is the Thunderbird 3 argument all over again. You know, it is of its time.
Yeah, it's been a nostalgic episode, this, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, well, this has been without doubt going back. You know, we've touched upon Starfleet. We've gone back to the Normandy, and now we're talking Thunderbird 3 and also 60s Doctor Who wobbly box ships. I mean, that's the thing. If you look at, I think again, this is where the exterior. We really should do a mini-sode on the exterior. I mean, this is where it really comes down to sort of like, how are we judging this? Are we judging this in history terms? Are we judging it against what we got now? Are we judging it in universe, or i.e. in relation to things of the time? I mean, because the thing is,
are we judging the amount of detail that's involved, the amount of realism?
Because the thing is, and like I say, I mean, it sounds like I've been throwing this thing under the bus, and I really am not. I love this film, but on the one hand, you can't look at the C-57D and go, that's a 5, and then look at something like, he says, looking through the list, looking at the Royal Naboo ship and go, that's a 4.
Oh, I can, and I did.
Yeah, but do you see my point?
I see your point. But so for myself, when I'm looking at least for realization, part of it is how, for me, it comes down to the design. So how well has the design come about? How well is that design executed? And I do take into account the time and the technology that was available to them. And I do take into account how well it stood up. You know, it's how it all kind of, you kind of put those into a pot together. And I think on those criteria, for me, this still stands up fantastically well. It's okay. There's not a lot of detail visible, but it's deceptively in so much as, you know, you've got the counter-rotating sections. You've got, as it comes down, you've got the landing foot comes down before the ramps will come down.
Oh, I would point out that the Dalek ship from the movie had counter-rotating sections. Look what happened to that.
That is the Chinese knockoff. That is the that is the toy your grandmother bought you at the chemist's, which no one wants. It's.
I mean,
I take your point. Like you said, if it's a mini-sode you want, I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't my ship. I've got no
fat to
horse
fry
in this race.
Yeah.
But I think if it were me, I would have given it a 5. But if you want the 4, or if Pete wants to knock it down a couple of other notches, I'm not going to stop him.
No, I mean, again, like I say, I totally take on board everything you're saying, and I do see. Again, it sounds like I'm sitting on the fence, but it does. There's something to be said for the fact that back in the 50s, you would have had Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and, you know, basically Flash Gordon, Buster Crabbe stuff, and all of that stuff looks shit compared to this.
Always just makes me think of the bloody wrestler. that was Buster Crabtree, wasn't it? Yeah.
Buster
Big
Crabbe.
Daddy.
Buster Crabbe makes me think of SpongeBob SquarePants. But you know, at the end of the day, you look at it in context of kind of what was out at the time. You've got to go, well, sorry, that is definitely a 5. You look at it in terms of relation to what's out now, and especially when you look at something, like I say, how we've evaluated other ships in the past, things like the Minbari, Charlene, the Narada, the Valdor, and the Scimitar, and we've given all of those between 3 and 4. And it's like, so how do you relate that back to something that was essentially a hubcap? And again, I'm not throwing it under the bus. I'm just trying to wrestle with the problem of this thing of.
I think it's quite, to engage my Vulcan brain for a minute, if I'm giving it 3, you're giving it 4, and Andy's giving it 5. It's quite an easy answer to this one, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, I definitely think there's something in this as a sort of discussion to just have as a discussion, as a mini-sode, because we may not get to the bottom of it, but I think we all need to kind of understand where we come from when we come to these particular things, because we're going to hit it again in the next one, which is interior, because I would like a 5, but I know that something which I would have given a 5 before, like the Nostromo, is so much better than this.
Yeah.
But in terms of they built the fucking thing.
They did. And I'm happy with giving it a 5 for interior, to be honest, because the amount of trouble and care they've gone to recreate this entire environment is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it beats something like, you know, like anything from Stargate, hands down. What do you think, Andy?
Oh, absolutely. I'd give it a 5. The interior, not only is it, in my opinion, well realised, you know, regardless of if it was a 50s. I mean, I think this looks a lot better than some of the stuff we were getting through to the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But it also, thought has gone into it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get the model from Polar Lights. I'll just paste this in here. And, you know, it fits within the confines of the space that's there, you know. This was the set as it was built. So, yeah, for that alone, I'd be happy giving it a 5. I mean, okay, you're limited by...
Oh, that looks so much like a Starfleet bridge as well, doesn't it? That is...
Yeah.
That model that you just put up, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's even got the ouchie table of ouchie look. Wow.
But that's not all the bridge. That's the interior of the entire ship, but it's a much smaller ship than, say, the Enterprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, a 5 without question, just because, again, they went to the trouble of building it and built it well. I mean, one of the reasons why flying saucers get such a bad rap is probably because they reuse this so much in the Twilight Zones and things of lower quality.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like if you only had this as a flying saucer, and then they all went with rockets until you got to the Enterprise, I think flying saucers wouldn't be the finger quote joke that they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I go along with that. You know, again, it's that whole thing of being oversaturated, you know, overly familiar.
Plan 9 from outer space.
Yeah, Plan 9 from outer space is a good example as well. I mean, I say good example, but you know what I mean.
Good example of crapness, yes.
It's a good example of a shit use. But yeah, like I say, I think the interior deserves more praise than the exterior in many ways. But like I say, this is kind of where we go. Sort of look at it, and we come up and go, yep, interior. They built this thing 100%. It works. There's buttons and switches and everything that works. It doesn't look like the Nostromo. It doesn't look like the interior of the Millennium Falcon in terms of detail and colouring and fit and all that kind of stuff. However, in context of the 50s and everything, it looks real. It works. Yeah. So, ta-da! There you go, 5. Anyway, let's move on. Like I say, I think there's definitely a mini-sode in this. Right, okay, science. Now, on the one hand, it's definitely cuckoo kitchu away with the fairies. However, there is the small thing of if it does go to faster than light travel or decelerate from faster than light travel, they go to actual terms of trying to protect the crew in situations of massive deceleration and massive acceleration, and they try to explain the gravity, albeit not very well, by having the spin in the completely wrong direction. But yeah, so I was going to say, I was going to try and be a bit more fair with this. I think it's got its heart in the right place. It doesn't quite work, so I was going to go for a 3.
That sounds fair. Good in parts.
Yeah, good in parts.
Again, you know, I don't think we can really overly penalise ships for gravity and FTL because
no. I mean, I'm talking the fact that it does what it does and it does it very well, and they've clearly put thought into it. But there are things in the way this ship works that are just clearly doodah bonkers. You know, it has no shields, it has no defense, it has nothing, and it's spinning in the completely wrong direction, yet that's supposed to be working for science. And that's the thing, if you start citing science and then you make it all go wrong, then that's got to count against you slightly. I know it's not their fault because, you know, 50s and...
Was the spinning actually attributed to... Because I've always thought that the spinning was just a process of its propulsion system, because obviously once it lands, it stops. I mean, I know once they're on the planet, they don't need gravity anymore either, but...
I'm pretty sure, though, I'm happy to be corrected and fix that, but I'm pretty sure that they disengaged the artificial gravity, and that's when you get an exterior shot of the ship slowing down and stopping spinning.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it's any more outrageous on the science score than something like the Saratoga from Space Above and Beyond, than the Fearless, than... What else have we got? I mean, again, even like early Star Trek and stuff like that, you know, TOS ships. So I don't think it's any more egregious in terms of science than any of those, and those have all gotten a 4.
Okay.
And again, things like the deceleration counters. I mean, I don't think that the lack of shields and weapons counts against the science score. If anything, it's one less thing you have to explain and make space for. Again, I don't really have a dog in the race either way. But I mean, again, Thunderbird 3 got a 4. The Eagle Transporter. I mean, I go in there. Eagle Transporter only got a 4. Surely that should have had a 5. That's a grey mark for another day.
Grey mark for another day.
All I'm saying is I don't think the science is any more egregious than any of those sort of things.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a 4, unless Pete would like to.
No, I can completely take that argument. Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Okay. I'm just pasting a grey mark over the Eagle Transporter science. There you go. Okay, fine. So a 4 for science. Cool factor. Now, I've got me 4 points. It is a flying saucer, and it is damaged by years and years of oversaturation of flying saucers as a concept. So on that mark, I'm only going to give it a 3 instead of a 4. But I do like it. But I just, it can't be cool in the flying saucer nowadays. But that's just my own personal preference. So what about you, Pete?
It because of the care and attention they spent over the interior, it earns itself a 2. The exterior is just laughable as far as I'm concerned, but interior, fair enough, 2.
Okie dokie. And Andy?
I'll give it 3. I mean, okay, it's a flying saucer, but in my opinion, it is the flying saucer.
Cool.
You know, this is the coolest of the cool, and I absolutely adore the film, and this is the ship from the film. So yes.
Well, there you go. Okay, well, there you go. And I'm clearly sitting in, my low ends are always sitting in the same place as well. So, because here we are with 31 points, sitting right alongside the LV-426 derelict.
You're actually in the bottom 10 again.
Yep, here I am again. Alone again, alone. Right, so, so the C-57D, sadly, doesn't make the cut and is sitting way down the list with 31 points. Never mind. Well, anyway, so that's it. So just to recap, so the winner this week is Andy with the Normandy SR2 with 57 points. Coming second is the Battleship Tomato with 48. And sitting right at the bottom there is my ship, the C-57D from Food and Planet with 31. Right, so now it's down to telling you what we're going to have next week. So, next week, we're going to have, I think what we've come to term the Under the Bus episode. But basically, let's go through what ships we're going to be doing. And you can basically work out what we mean by this. I am going to be bringing the vampiric mothership from Life Force. Pete?
I shall be bringing what we termed on the broadcast the USS Fugly Bollock, a.k.a. the USS Pasteur, from right at the end of Star Trek The Next Generation, one of the worst designed ships ever.
All good things, unlike the actual ship. And Andy, what are you bringing, sir?
I am bringing... It's well known I like video games, especially video games with spaceships. And I am going to bring one of the worst looking spaceships from a game full of pretty bad looking spaceships. I'm bringing the GTVA Colossus from Free Space 2.
Oh, good Lord, no. Oh, God.
Scaffolding springs to mind.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's like someone tried to build a Nebulon frigate out of house bricks.
I've yet to find a good look at this thing is.
Oh, good Lord, look at that.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better. So
it's a flying ray gun, isn't it, basically?
It's a flying Klingon ray gun.
It's not good. And like I said, this is a game which has got some pretty terrible looking spaceships in it. I love the game, don't get me wrong, but Free Space 2, there's some bollocks in that.
Yeah, there is.
And this is quite literally the biggest bollock of them all.
In fact, if you look at it from the top, it looks like a cock and balls. But there you go.
I could have done the Sudan Space Hoover, but I'll save that for another time.
Oh, good Lord, please don't. Jesus Christ. There's no need for that sort of chat. Right, okay, well, there you go. So, do join us for the next Under the Bus episode, which will feature the Life Force vampire ship, the USS Fugly Bollock, the Pasteur, and some abomination unto the Lord. Yeah, and an abomination unto Lord and man. That is that horrible, horrible thing, the Colossus. Wow, that's this is going to be a cheerful episode.
Yeah.
So do join us next time. Do join us on the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/SpaceDocJury. Keep in contact with us on Twitter, which is @SpaceDocJury. And we can also hear the hosts doing what, Pete?
Mine not, usually. But in terms of podcasting, you can catch me on the broadcast covering episodes of currently Deep Space Nine Season 4.
Okie dokie. And Andy?
And you can hear me and Elton. We do the Band of Brothers podcast, and we also do the Gorm Free podcast. And both of those can be found at rogue2media.com.
Fantastic. And you can find me on the Black Dog podcast, which you can find on iTunes or at podcast.blackdogpodcast.com. All done. Lovely. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. Do drop us a review if you like on iTunes, if you like what you hear. That'll be always appreciated, and do so for my fellow co-hosts' work. We shall see you all next week, or rather next episode, for a vampire toilet brush, a massive bull gag, and something that looks like a cock made out of bricks. Until then, take care, and we'll see you all next time. Ta-da!
I gotta find a pub.
I should go.
Space Doc Jury is a production by 3 Angry Beards for GeekPlanetOnline.com.